Thanks, gentlemen. The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Fletcher, for 5 minutes for her questions.
Well, thank you so much, Chairman Palmer, and thanks to you and Ranking Member Clark for holding this hearing. I really am glad to work with both of you on the important issues that come before this subcommittee, and I agree with my colleague that this is an area with real potential for us to work together and find bipartisan agreement. So I also want to thank all of our witnesses who are here today sharing your insights and helping us find where we can find that agreement and understand the landscape where we're having this conversation. And it does seem to me, in the greater context of what's happening on the Hill this week and what we're doing, that we seem to be talking past each other about a lot of these issues. We've already heard a little bit about it this morning, but I really think it bears repeating that the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law that Congress passed was designed to make important investments to expand the domestic energy industry and to reduce our reliance on China and other foreign countries, and to make sure that we were manufacturing at home, that we could be energy independent, that we could expand and grow, and we could be supplying the rest of the world with clean energy technologies, as well as continuing our work in traditional energy sectors. I represent the people of Houston, Texas. It's the energy capital of the world, and we certainly have been exporting our expertise and knowledge in all areas of energy, and see a future where that is something we can and should continue to do. But as we all know, it's just hugely important that we invest in developing full domestic supply chains for critical minerals, and that's so important as the demand for these minerals is only going to continue to grow, and that it's important for our national security. So, we need to be onshoring this process in a resilient and smart way, and we need to be talking to each other about how we do that. I think this hearing is helpful to that, but I do have to note that, just last week, every Republican on this committee voted to weaken our supply chain for critical minerals when we voted on this budget bill that's making its way through the House right now, and that is currently being debated and considered in the Rules Committee. This budget bill rolls back hugely important investments that we made in the Inflation Reduction Act and in the bipartisan infrastructure law to expand the domestic energy industry and to reduce our reliance on China and other foreign countries. So we seem to be talking past each other when we really should be thinking about all of these things holistically. And I do want to note, Mr. Hergo, I appreciated your testimony and observations on the importance of permitting reform. That is something that I support, that I have been working on this committee. And I agree that Congress should be able to get it done. We should be able to get it done on this committee. And I hope that this committee will really be able to advance that effort in this Congress. With that said, and with the time we have left, I do think it's important to understand better how some of the efforts that we're seeing in the administration and some of the efforts to repeal these important investments, as well as this overall kind of atmosphere of uncertainty that I'm certainly hearing about from my constituents, is affecting the energy and the critical minerals industry. And so with that, I do want to turn to you, Mr. Howell, because of your background, both in the government and in the private sector. I think you've got a great perspective here to just share with us your thoughts on how you expect that companies in the United States that are part of the critical mineral supply chain might react in response to repealing these IRA investments and tax credits, and also how that might affect innovation and investment in more U.S. manufacturing.
Thank you for that question, Madam Congresswoman. Consistency and predictability are so important to the private sector. And, there's lots of tools that the federal government can employ to support critical minerals and processing in the United States. We talk a lot about tariffs, but production tax credits are so important, investment tax credits, grant programs that support the buy down of risk to the private sector are important, like the IIJA 40207 program that I mentioned. When I was with the Department of Energy, for every dollar spent, $2 of private sector investment was spent on those programs. And of course, the Loan Program Office. All of these, it's not one size fits all for our industry colleagues in our back coalition. they look for all of these levers, but specifically, they do want some consistency, transparency, they do want predictability, and their shareholders, their financial backers want the same.
Well, thank you so much. I'm out of time, but I do have a couple more questions for you, so I will submit them for the record, and I will yield back. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Rulli, for